Hello, beautiful humans. We're here for day 18 of December's daily embodiment. I just had a little snack. It was a little pastry, and I have my tea, and I have a book today that feels like it's calling me into connection. And I pulled to a page and I was like, yeah, let's read that. This has been sort of the format I've been using: a book, a resource, some quotes, or a practice that's outlined already for inspiration, connection. Maybe I talk through some things in relationship to it before or after, and then we do an embodiment. So today I'm bringing in a book called Building a Story Brand, and clarify your message so customers will listen. Use the 7 elements of great storytelling to grow your business, by Donald Miller, New York Times bestselling author. And it was a #1 Wall Street Journal bestseller. This book is really neat. I think I picked it up in an airport once, many years ago. It's not one that I've read cover to cover, but I've gone through and I've read bits and pieces of. I really love marketing and branding. I really love strategic communication. I really am turned on by clarity of messaging and cohesion of aesthetic synchronicity. And what's interesting is it's felt so challenging for me to find that with self-care for performers. I'm like, I don't know what it is. Or I do, and I find it. And then I'm like, no, that is a version of myself that I don't want to bring into this project. And I'm like, okay, well, let me find it again. Okay, no, that's something that I tried to do before that I have some CPTSD triggering stuff from. And when I look at it, I can't see what I saw when I was building this thing that was from my whole heart that I had to walk away from and ended up being really traumatic. So since self-care for performance has been reorient. Okay. Since this daily December embodiment challenge for me has been about how do I integrate whatever it is that hasn't been able to be integrated into this project. I have this fierce, intense energy related to self-care for performers. A lot of it has to do with taboo things that I've spoken about very explicitly. And I'm finding that I don't know if we'll stay here or not, but there's a part of me that wants to look at the patterns and not the players, so that there's a sort of broader archetypal experience that I can bring into the connection during these sessions that we're having. And also, so it doesn't feel like I'm oversharing and I don't have so much of a vulnerability hangover afterwards. And I'm also protecting the privacy of the people and parts that might be interrelational with the personal content that my body is working through in the session. So, and I think that this is a lovely mirror also for how we can potentially engage in the performing arts or as an entrepreneur, because I know I have those of you who are embodied entrepreneurs. So your sort of business feels very body-based or soul-oriented, or is a lot about learning how to deconstruct while still then showing up and creating some sort of an experience, like to a performance ritual of sorts. And so a lot of what I talk about has some overlay and overlap there. And also a lot of you are performing artists. And what's interesting is I have a harder time talking to. I am learning how to speak still from myself as myself, but from an edge of clarity around why it's important to you. And it's not that I couldn't just rattle off the things, it's that I want to be able to deliver. I want to be able to deliver. Wow, that word doesn't want to come out. I want to be able to deliver a kind of connective opportunity for those who are performing artists by trade to also find some sort of soul satisfaction and satiation for their spirit in the practices that we embody through self-care for performers, so that you don't have to be waiting for the next job, the next gig, for your opportunities, for your career to open up, for you to be cast in the kind of role that feels like there's something being called for you to embody that. Through embodiment practices, we can allow ourselves to access the secret self, the innermost parts of ourselves that have been fractured and that want to reintegrate. It's sort of like a soul retrieval is a sort of animistic way that one could describe that. And I think that there is such a beautiful opportunity that we have to be able to work together with one another and by ourselves if we are a solo practitioner. And self-care for performers is, in many ways, I think, because it's self-care, self is specific. You have to have a self in order to be a performing artist. You have to be able to navigate the industry. You have to have your headshots. You have to be able to say, this is who I am. This is my forward-facing persona. Here are the kinds of archetypes or characters that I could play. These are my types, right? You have to be able to help people see where you might be a match card. And there's a whole lot also just intermixed in industry and collective storytelling, that there's also some wonderful pieces, but also some messy ones, especially from those of us who have identities that aren't, that we don't see a lot of either representation for, or that the representation that we see is a very narrow vantage point, which, and that one, I think that could go for pretty much the full gamut of most bodies. Because even those who might see themselves more frequently or turn a blind eye to the ways in which they're maybe not represented and just see the every human in the characters that are out there, which is such a beautiful thing to be able to do, period. And hopefully, while there's still a lot of diversity and inclusion, to be able to see yourself in another, to be able to see the humanity of someone's character arc or journey, to be able to connect to what they're going through in their body, in their mind, in their relationships, in the story, or whether or not they meet their goals, their desires, and how they navigate through life, and the conflicts they run up against, and how they either do or they don't work through them. It really can be a beautiful thing to see and witness some of the human experience. While being in a passive role, we are able to sometimes process through some of our own emotional content that's maybe similar enough, or gain a little perspective around something that is maybe similar to someone or something else in our lives that we were having a really hard time finding any sort of empathy for. Sometimes when we see that in storytelling, we're able to go, oh, wow, I get it on a deeper level, or I understand where maybe that person isn't so one-dimensional as I thought they were, or there's just a lot of complexity that exists in every human, every body. And while that's not all approaches to storytelling, right? Some are more surface oriented, more just kind of stock character like. There is this need we have as people to watch story, to participate in community storytelling and story receiving, and then being able to chat and talk about how it impacted us. So you may use this practice however makes sense to you, whether you are an entrepreneur and you're looking to find more cohesion in your brand identity, whether you're a performing artist looking to feel like you have some clarity around, how do I promote myself as the brand? how does that even work? What is that dynamic? Do I have to be or become someone I'm not in order to be the brand? That doesn't sound right. Do I connect to different pieces and parts of myself that are really true and authentic and are kind of organized in certain ways where people understand from a quick kind of captured essence of what that could mean? Maybe that can be an approach. Is it maybe connecting to certain styles of connection that I really like and value and feel very truthfully all of myself? Like I can bring all of myself to all of those kinds of experiences because they're well suited to me. That's something that feels really good to me. So, we all find our way through the terrain of industry and commerce and capitalism and society differently. And those sort of essences or beings, almost like there's a societal gaze that becomes one sort of experience, even as it's diverse. There's still going to be a general sort of wash of energy we might feel coming towards us or being available or accessible to us in connection. And one thing I love about branding and strategic marketing is that it allows you to intentionally align to touch points that might feel good for you. And there's an invitation to also be more true to yourself and more authentic about what you want. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is who I stand with. Or this is who I am. These are the ways I like to feel. These are the stories that would be good to tell. Yeah. Or this is who I am. These are my breathing points where I'm actively exploring. And this feels like me. I'm actively exploring here and I'm curious to know more about this animal of character that I want to portray or be or allow to embody me to kind of come up and through as the truth of something much deeper than what most people understand as personality. There's something core to that. So I'm going to read to you and we'll see where we go for the embodiment. Okay. This is from a section called And Ends in a Success, Chapter 10. StoryBrand Principle 7, never assume people understand how your brand can change their lives. Tell them. So if you're an artist, you have to tell people how you are well suited to their needs. You have to tell people how your participation in their project will change the experience of the project and believe that and know that. And I'm learning and working on really figuring out how does the work that I do, which I know how it impacts me and I've seen how it impacts other people, but how do I like succinctly talk about that? How do I tell you? How do I convey what it does in a way that's clear enough, but also broad enough to be inclusive of the completeness of what I do? It feels it's so esoteric and it's so pragmatic at the same time. I really blend the space between pragmatism and magic intentionally. So we'll see. This is a couple pages. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm going to skip ahead through a couple of sections. So I'm not going to read that intro. The next section says the ending should be specific and clear. I'm not going to read that, but I love that. Then there's a next section called Before and After. So this is a little chart that expresses before your brand and after your brand. And so there's columns and there's an ask. We might embody this today, but I'm going to read you a different section. What do they have? What are they feeling? What's an average day like? What is their status? And then how to end a story for your customer. I'm going to read you the 3 key points and then keep moving. Win some sort of power or position. Be unified with somebody or something that makes them whole. I think that's self-care for performers feels like that one. experience some kind of self-realization that also makes them whole. Maybe that also might be self-care for performers. Um, maybe I'm not sure which one it is for me. And so I toggle. And so I feel a little like unsteady there. So maybe we'll find something out about that today. Okay. Then the next section is 1, winning power and position, the need for status. Then it talks about an offer of success, create scarcity, offer premium, offer identity association. We don't need to go into all of that. If you're curious to learn and know more of it, let me know. I'm happy to dive into it in another video. 2, union that makes the hero whole, the need for something external to create completeness. I feel like that's really what I'm looking for personally on a personal level. And reduce anxiety and reduce workload and more time. This feels like the all of the everything. I think that's like what I want and need for myself. And so that's also what self-care for performers is. I'm building the practices to help me experience that. So therefore, the practices theoretically will help you also experience that. Yet there's also the ability to design the practices to help you experience the brand, the story brand that is most suited to you. 3, ultimate self-realization or acceptance, the need to reach our potential. This is the one where I'm like, maybe that one though. Oh, and interesting enough, that's the one that I had chosen to do today. And the 3 sections are inspiration, acceptance, and transcendence. So this one also might be me. I chose the 3rd one. We're going to look into that one and see if that's a fit for self-care for performers or not. And we're going to see if it feels aligned to part of what you're moving through or not. But you'll have a little more context around what this option is for StoryBrand, and maybe that will help you orient a little bit in your life or in relationship to others who you are in community with and wanting to connect more around these points of possibility. Okay. The ultimate self-realization or acceptance, the need to reach our potential. Movies like Rudy, Hoosiers, and Chariots of Fire are all tap into the human desire to reach our potential. And it's not just sports movies. Legally Blonde, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash are all about heroes who face great odds in their journey to prove themselves. Once proven, the heroes realize an inner peace and can finally accept themselves because they've reached their potential. An outward demonstration of worth isn't always necessary to create this kind of resolution. Heroes can also take an internal journey to come to the same conclusion. When Bridget Jones realized she was too good for the boss with whom she desired a relationship, she came to an ultimate self-realization that returned her to a place of peace and stability. And while it's true she didn't close the story loop of uniting with the man she wanted, resolution is brought about as she abandons that goal in exchange for the greater fulfillment of self-acceptance and contentment. In 2013, the soap company Dove released a series of short films featuring women who were the subjects of an FBI-trained forensic artist. Without actually seeing the women, the artist would draw each woman based on how she described herself. Later, the artist would draw the same woman based on how a stranger described her. The reveal was shocking. The sketches drawn from the stranger's description were always more beautiful than the ones in which the women described themselves. The point: many women don't realize how beautiful they are. The ad was an attempt to help women accept themselves and find greater contentment in their intrinsic beauty. Whether it's by fulfilling some purpose or accepting themselves as they are, This return to contentment resolves something in a story that is universally human. The desire for self-acceptance. How can a brand offer a sense of ultimate self-realization or self-acceptance? Here are a few ideas. So this is a journey that humans will take. You don't have to do it through branding. If you just want to be like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. I want to just experience that and I don't need to turn it into a brand, but it is something I want to experience. How lovely. And also sometimes just organically how we start to share once we've had that experience leads into what one might consider a brand. If it's also about kind of where you've been, where you're at, and what you have to offer for anyone who might want to connect with you there. And that could be because you are filling out a dating profile in a certain way, or it could be the way in which you walk into an audition room. It can be the way you pitch yourself in a series of different scenarios. It can also be the way you just receive connection and a willingness to be present with whatever is real and seeing if there really is true alignment between clarity of why you would come together with somebody or a piece or a part if the role is actually aligned to you, not just that they want you, right? Because that happens so much, whether it's in dating or friendship or um, auditioning. But I do find that auditioning and dating are very similar in that you are testing waters to see if there's a match, to see that someone has an intention to fill a role in their lives. You have a desire to also step into a role in your life and you spend a little bit of time together to be like, do I want to see you again? And if I do, you go on another date or you go to a callback, right? And sometimes it's so great you're like, well, yeah, I think let's keep doing this. I want to see you for a while. And then you can move into a next stage of a relationship and you become exclusive or you book the role and then you still allow things to be alive and present, but you both have to choose each other. That, and this is what doesn't often happen, is sometimes we say yes to someone or something, whether it's a role or a romantic partner, where it's like, well, I think I'm supposed to want the thing that wants me, right? I'm supposed to say yes, I'm supposed to be amenable, I'm supposed to please other people. And then we forget, and we might really be a match for it, or it might be a match for us. But oftentimes our mental framework isn't even operating from a place of questioning that. We just go, oh, yes, of course I want that. And you don't really ask, well, do I though? Where am I going in my life? And is this a match to help get me there? Whether it's the kind of relationship I want, if you're getting over a long-term something and you just kind of want to meet new people and reestablish what it feels like to be safe in coming in and out of connections, that's different than being in a stage of your life where you're like, I really am ready to find my person and settle down and like really be together with someone. The way you present yourself in your marketing and branding, if you're doing online dating on a dating profile, is going to be similar to the way in which you would market and brand for anything else. Not exactly the same, but sort of. And when we are auditioning, I think giving ourselves the opportunity to really be clear about the different kinds of headshots we have and the ways in which we are choosing the kinds of roles to audition for or asking our reps to submit us for, that there is a match card as far as what stage in your creative development are you in? What kind of part are you looking to be in connection with? And that's going to be different for different people, whether you are just out of school and just trying to experience new things and it doesn't really matter, whether you've been doing it a long time and you've been booking and you maybe have been booking a lot in a certain sort of range of castability and you really want to move things up to a different level of commitment with how much character time you have, what kind of character arc you might have, how much time on screen time you have, what kind of process of you want to work with a creative team, and knowing that you have agency to really get clear with yourself. I mean, it's just like dating. You might not like meet the person right right away. You also might not land the opportunity that you're asking for right away. And the way we present ourselves, the way we ask for what we want, the way we ask for what we need, and then the way we, not to change who we are, but to get really clear on the pieces of us that are already present that would be a match for the experience that we feel would be really right. And being willing to come into connection with those pieces and then bring them forward. It sounds so easy right now. It's not that easy, right? Because a lot of us have complex PTSD from a lot of behavioral patterns that we've had in the past. And it can be scary to bring up parts of ourselves, especially when we've, for our own coping strategies to survive the world, have like fragmented them and pushed them away because we needed to in order to stay safe, or in order to keep in connection with our early childhood caregivers, or with our early creative teachers who create a certain kind of climate for us. We may or may not have actually been a match for our nuclear family growing up, or for our early creative teachers. And you either don't get that choice or option as a child being born, or you might not know you have options, or even how to discern or find a different option, or there might just be scarcity of options in the area you grew up in of who you could study with and how. And also, as things progress over time, we are learning so much more. There's so much beautiful new science and studies and statistics that sometimes I'll piece in, but I've heard a lot, and I haven't decided like what portions of them want to be communicated through self-care for performers. But I'm excited to know that there's a wealth of resources there, sometimes almost overwhelmingly so. It's like, how do I make myself so big to allow that much to channel through, is sort of how I feel sometimes. Okay, I was saying, let's get back to it. I was saying, what was I saying? How far did we go? Okay. So I think I just said, how can a brand offer a sense of ultimate self-realization or self-acceptance? So here's a few ideas. 1, inspiration. If an aspect of your brand can offer or be associated with an inspirational feat, open the floodgates. Brands like Red Bull, Harvard Business Review, Under Armour, the Ken Blanchard Company, Michelob Ultra, and even GMC have associated themselves with athletic and intellectual accomplishment, and thus a sense of self-actualization. Option 2, acceptance. Helping people accept themselves as they are isn't just a thoughtful thing to do, it's good marketing. I want that for you. I think it's part of it for me. I do want that. It's good marketing. Not unlike the Dove campaign, American Eagle turned heads when they launched their Airy campaign. In the campaign, American Eagle used real people as models and refused to retouch the images. Tackling body image issues, American Eagle went beyond basic product promotion and contributed to universal self-acceptance among their clientele. And maybe part of how I'm doing that here for you, with you, is just, I'm like, I'm in process. This is my embodiment practice. Welcome to the ride. It can be messy sometimes. I don't know what's going to come next. Also, sometimes I lose my threads, and I actually try to not be overly prepared, and I enjoy moving moment to moment to moment. And it's okay to connect to your grief, and it's okay to feel uncertain, and it's okay if you feel lost. And you're so normal and human for having a hard time finding yourself out of whatever experience you might be having, if you're having a hard time. And I think if you're drawn to self-care practices, you at least want to sustain an easier time, if not help yourself find ways and resources to build into a better life for yourself than the one you've known or the one you have right now. Continuing. So, hug to you. Okay. Transcendence. Brands that invite customers to participate in a larger movement offer a greater, more impactful life along with their products and services. Tom's Shoes built a name for itself by selling stylish shoes while simultaneously giving a pair to somebody in need in what they called a one-for-one model. Those who wore the shoes claimed a major factor in deciding to make the purchase was a sense of involvement with a larger movement. At less than 10 years old, the for-profit brand sold for more than $700 million. Wow. Another example of a brand that helps customers achieve a level of transcendence is Damon John's clothing brand, FUBU, an acronym for Us by Us, in reference to the African American community being represented in the marketplace. The brand offers more than fashion. It offers a sense of unity, transcendence, and entrepreneurialism for the African American community. Beautiful. Closing story loops. I'm going to read this. The idea behind the success module of the SB7 framework is that we offer to close a story loop. Human beings are looking for resolutions to their external and internal and philosophical problems, and they can achieve this through, among other things, status, self-realization, self-acceptance, and transcendence. These are things I think I am looking for. I'm really good at starting things. I have a harder time at completion cycles, even as I love completion cycles. Like, they're my jam. But I think I love them so much because they don't come as natural to me. I have to like really intentionally move into them. And then I've developed a way to be with endings and completions. And yeah, that really works for the way my body likes that. Okay. If our products can help people achieve these things, we should make this a core aspect of our brand promise. I'm going to read this last one too. This is the part because I think I need to hear it. Keep it simple. And something in me is like, no, don't keep it simple. Nothing is simple. Everything man-made is simple. Everything organic and natural is complex. You're complex. I'm complex. We're all complex. And also, I get it. I've learned the things, and maybe we'll walk something there in my resistance today, as opposed to what I was saying earlier. This might be like I know the things I don't want to. And as long as I'm not aligned to the desire to do the thing, I'm not going to do the thing. Okay. So offering to close a story loop is much more simple than you think. Even the inclusion of smiley, happy people on your website is a strong way to offer the closing of a story loop. People want to be happy, and those images promise your product will deliver. If you sell rugs, a successful resolution might be a beautiful floor or a room that finally feels finished. If you sell ice cream, a successful resolution might be a rich, creamy taste of heaven. Camping gear, an adventure to remember. While I've been slightly philosophical in this chapter, try not to overthink it. What problem are you resolving in your customer's life, and what does that resolution look like? Stick to basic answers, because basic answers really do work. I hate that. Not that they're wrong. Then, when you get good, start diving deeper into the levels of problems your brand resolves. But I want to start backwards. What did we talk about yesterday? The intuitive goes backwards. I want to be like, I'm at the base. Now, how do I simplify from everything, the depth of the soul? Truly. The important idea in this section is that we need to show repeatedly how our product or service can make somebody's life better. If we don't tell people where we're taking them, they won't follow. A story has to go somewhere. A story has to go somewhere. No, that's what happens. Have you told your customers where you want to take them? Where do I want to take you? Where am I taking you? Where is self-care for performers taking you? I'm like into the ethers and the mysteries, and we don't know. We're gonna just see what happens when we get there. I'm taking you into practices that help you attune to the truth and the honesty of who you are, that help you feel more enlivened and whole as you become more confident and sure of yourself and relational, and that you have a sense of trustworthiness in yourself so that you can meet the world in trustable ways, and so that you can discern whether or not the world is meeting you in trustable ways. And if not, modify, make some changes, internal, external changes, and find where there's match cards for you and the world to meet you both where you're at. In honesty. Honesty. I bring honesty. You want to be more honest? This is it. Okay, here we go. What am I going to walk? I don't even know now. Okay. I am now the self-care for performers StoryBrand. Oh, I just had like a hiccup, and then my hands went one head above and then the other. I feel like I want to. Oh, I wish this didn't make so much sense to me right now, but it really is. It's like you have to do two things at once that don't make sense to do at the same time. And can you then do it the other way? And then can you switch hands? Oh, that's harder. So you have to start with one and then you add the other one. And then can you switch the other way? So start with one and then add the other one. Oh, it's hard, but it is. It's like, can you get your neurology to experience what it means to show up in relationship with others, with career, with networking, with marketing, with how you place yourself out there? Hi, nice to meet you. Be honest and real. You don't have to lie about who you are, but you do have to be relationally engageable and have access to enough inner resources to show up. And that, my friends, is hard, especially for those of us who have a lot of complex PTSD, because triggers are going to be out there constantly. And so part of what self-care for performers can do is, if those things are happening, we can go, okay, that's happening there. That was a trigger. Do I have the resources to negotiate into the experience, or is it past my capacity and I need to say thank you, no thank you? I need to remove myself. Maybe it's for 10 minutes, re-regulate, or maybe it's just too much for this cycle and I need to extract myself from auditioning for a while, or from the project that feels abusive to me. Whether or not it is, it doesn't matter. It's that my experience is that it feels toxic, right? And we don't have to call, I mean, maybe you will, maybe you won't, right? But my theory right now for self-care for performers is we don't have to go into name calling. We don't have to go into labeling a person as their soul, because also I love to tap into find the core essence of you. If you can find the core essence of you, all the other stuff is just like, it's just noise, right? Because you always have that. So that allows you to brush things off a little bit more and reconnect to who you are, so that when you are triggered, when you experience something, it doesn't completely take you down, even as in the series of my videos, I kept being taken down, right? But if we know how to be there with ourselves, and then we know how to trust some sort of organic rising back up. And we know how to also be enough attuned to the wherefore or why of why someone might be doing something that we receive as a persecutor or as an abuser. This isn't to identify and empathize with those who hurt us more than ourselves. That's not what I'm saying. And there is a necessity to have some form of pattern recognition, where hopefully one might be willing to find a way through in a different way for different cycles moving forward, because not everybody, and I'm not going to say this, whether people are like this or not, I don't know, but not everybody wants to hurt you. Maybe some people do, but I'm choosing to go with the possibility that at the end of the day, humans need and want connection. We're built for it. We are legitimately wired for it. Our biology wants us to connect with each other, wants us to find a way through. So we might not have the tools and resources, the interest, the capacity, etc., to do that with everybody, nor should we, because it's also important to really find compatibility. And your creative energy is intimate energy. Creation is the coming together of polarity, opposites, in order to create something new. Masculine form, feminine form less. Coming together to create a new experience, whether that's a screenplay or the embodiment of your character as you're synthesizing the lines, the story arc, your relationship to costume, to partners, to set, to audience or camera. All of that. This is becoming what, I don't know what this is, but I want to be here. The all of that. Like I just want the all of that. It's like wanting to sing it and then embrace it. Like I refuse to take anything less than the all of that. I want the whole. And now the other day I was like half masculine, half feminine experience in an embodiment. And it was like the feminine was like, I don't want the baby. And right now I feel so embodied in my feminine saying, I want the whole baby or no baby at all. Give me the whole baby. I want the whole of you. And I also recognize that means there's a lot of people that are not going to be suited to what I do and how I do it. And that also means that there's an opportunity for those I work with to learn that not everybody is going to be a match card for what they do and how they do it. And not only is it finding people who are interested in working with them, it's also about finding people they're interested in working with. It's also about me finding those of you I'm interested in working with, where we have a mutuality and there's a choosing to come together around a clarity of a vision, around a clarity of a goal, a dream, a hope, project, a process, a practice that aligns with the core of humanity's transcendence. Let that go. That's it. Okay, that was pretty. That's beautiful. What a beautiful session. Thank you for joining me for this. This has been insightful. I'm going to move along because I have a lot to do tonight. I have to keep going with getting all of this edited, uploaded, posted on the Patreon, as well as I also have my other project, Pages in Process, to finish editing and post and share on that Patreon and create a little blog post for it. And I already have, yesterday I did 10 hours of filming and editing on top of helping a friend with a project for a showcase at her dance studio. And then tomorrow is the showcase and I'm going to spend all day there. So hopefully, and it's already 8:30. So hopefully I'll have some form of sleep and And we'll see. Another friend invited me over tomorrow night to spend time. She just got back from Europe with her and an intimate group of friends. And I don't know if I'll have the capacity, but it's lovely to be included and invited. And I wish for you to feel like you have a home in your life and to feel like your practices are something you desire to steep into that feel really good to you and help you feel better and better and more aligned to being at home in your body and being at home in your creative energy, and then finding synchronicities along the way to be able to expend that energy to connect in intimate ways with others who want to share in a playful way, in an encouraging and celebratory way, with the ways in which you can experience that kind of connection. And oftentimes with that comes deep healing, even deep grief. When we can really truly feel the beauty of the lightness, there's an inclusion of the darker parts that some of these videos also touch into. So if you'd like some more support individually, one-on-one, let me know. I leave all the links in the descriptions to join the self-care garden if you want the printouts for self-paced practice, or to apply for a clarity call with me where we can just get together and I'll ask you questions, get to know you a bit. And if you want to, you can ask me about my coaching program and what that looks like and cycling together. And I hope you're having a wonderful December. We'll keep going. Till tomorrow.